We're joined now by Rita Hart, Chair of the Iowa Democrats. Thank you so much for being here with us.
It's my great pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
Okay, we're recording this on Thursday morning when you are wrapping up your time at the DNC. Today will be the last day that you're in Chicago, or last full day. How has your experience been?
I would tell you that this has been an outstanding experience, and I have been talking to our delegates, and to a delegate, everyone has been just really thrilled, not only to be here, but to have experienced all the things that have gone on this week. And, I'm also impressed with, I've been getting texts and messages from folks at home who are watching this on TV. And it just seems to be, in general, everybody is just having a wonderful time. It's been inspiring, it's been uplifting, it's been educational, it's been impressive. And so just really have had an awesome week.
So last night, or when we're recording this would be Wednesday night, you heard Minnesota Governor Tim Walz speak. What was that like to listen to his speech in particular, and what kind of ideas or motivations did that give you when it comes to Iowa?
Tim Walz is just a total breath of fresh air, I think, for a presidential campaign. And I got to spend a little time with him last year. He came to the Iowa State Fair, and he's visited Iowa a couple times. So I've gotten to know him a bit. And he is the same guy that I met last year up on that stage. He's just so genuine, and I think that's why he's been received so well. His message last night, I think, was very inspiring once again, really leaning into his background as a coach and using that opportunity to tell us that it's up to us as a team to go out and get this done. And there's humor there. There's a call to action. And it fits very well into the sports background that he has. And to see his former players now as middle-aged men get up on the stage and support him says so much about his campaign, right? About this campaign. The Harris-Walz campaign is very engaging. It's about the people. It's about talking about the issues that matter to people, but it's also about leadership. And so to see, again, it's heartwarming to me as a fellow teacher. I think so much of my former colleagues and so many people that I talk to and work with now as party chair, so many of our volunteers are teachers or former teachers. He brings that quality also to this campaign. And so I think that it's just encouraging to all of us that we have a decent person who is in the vice presidential candidate position here, who's going to lead us down the field to not only to a winning campaign, but to look to the future, to an administration that truly is thinking about each and every one of us who is part of the game.
I want to talk about that engagement that you just mentioned in a second. But first, when it comes to Kamala Harris as a presidential candidate, how do you feel about campaigning for her in Iowa? How do you feel she's going to do with Iowa voters?
She has really played a role as vice president that I don't think has gotten enough highlight. People just don't know her as well. I think people in certain parts of the country know her better than others, but here in Iowa, we need to know more about her. We've been impressed, I think, by her accomplishments as a United States senator. We've seen her have the ability as a prosecutor, as a very qualified person in that role, to fulfill that role and to ask the tough questions and to look for excellence in others and accountability in others. But now we're seeing her in a light of true leadership, right? And that's why to see her on the stage and to have her talk about the way she grew up, the fact that she grew up in a household with a single mother, that she worked her way through all the experiences that she's had. I think this is very relatable. I think Iowans will relate to her story. They'll relate to the fact that she worked her way to the ability of being an attorney general and holding people accountable to understand law and order, but to do it with compassion and to now be the top of the ticket that is looking to make the world a better place, this United States a better place, because she understands the issues and she asks the tough questions and she makes sure that things actually get done. That, I think, is an appealing message to all of us, no matter where we live.
Well, let's turn to that engagement piece. 4 weeks ago, the energy and the momentum was not there with the Democratic Party. The money also was not there with the Democratic Party. It reminds me a lot of conversations that I have with Democrats in Iowa, both in cities and in rural counties, of a lack of motivation, energy, and even hope when it comes to electing Democrats in the state of Iowa. So what kind of conversations or what kind of ideas has the Iowa Democratic delegation been kind of talking about when you go to something like the DNC and bringing that energy back to the home state?
I think that's a great question. And the reality is that we have, even though that is all true, what we also know is that we have been working, the Democratic Party in Iowa has been working really hard for over a year now. In 2022, when we had a really tough election, we had to really take a look at what was actually going on and what we could do to change that. What changes we had to make as a party and as people who care about the Democratic Party and who care about democracy itself, what we have to do to change and make things better. And a lot has happened in that year, right? And we spent that time and that energy building, putting down the groundwork and making the tough changes that had to be made. So we're a different party than we were a year and a half ago. Maybe that hasn't been too apparent to folks outside of the party, but that groundwork has been laid. And now, when we do have the ability to get people excited who are not who have not been doing this kind of work, not that integrally involved, people who lead their everyday lives and they are busy, they're raising their kids, they're doing their jobs, they're people who are very active citizens, and they want to be very responsible in voting and in understanding the candidates, etc., but are not, the kind of people that are engaged in party work. Now is the time when they suddenly have something to get excited about. And so that's why this hard work that's been going on over the last year is coming to fruition. We've laid the groundwork so that now we can build off of that with this renewed enthusiasm at the top of the ticket. So for well over a year now, we have known that our job is to get out the Democratic vote. We have not been doing that over the past few cycles. And so we've been working with our county parties. We've been engaged with volunteers. We've been re-engaging with our partnerships and working more as a team and building that kind of opportunity so that now that we have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz at the top of the ticket, it's creating new excitement, and people are now getting more engaged than they ever have. So all of a sudden, over the last month, we've got more people coming and asking to volunteer. How can I help? We've got people who are digging deep in their pockets and saying, I want this party to succeed. And so they've been giving more money. We've got people like the delegates who came here to convention who maybe were, when they first signed up for this, happy to come here, wanting to do the work. But now that they are here and this kind of excitement is taking place, they are just so anxious to get back to Iowa and go to work and spread that enthusiasm to others and help them to understand why this is such an important election and why these two people are going to lead us to a better Iowa, a better United States of America.
I'm wrapping up, Rita. I only have two more questions. One is based off of something that you just said there. Besides the get out to vote effort, how else has the Iowa Democratic Party changed from 2 years ago?
Yeah, so 2 years ago we were pretty depressed, right? And there were things that we knew that we could do better. Um, that again, that we needed to raise more money. We needed to get more volunteers involved. We needed to get down to the grassroots level and work with our county party chairs, and have the kinds of conversations that truly could result in the actions that would strengthen the party. So we did a lot of listening. I did a lot of traveling across the state. We worked to build that party back up so that we could make those connections with real people, and get candidates to run. And that's the exciting thing, that all that work now has resulted in the fact that we have more Democrats running for office than we have in several cycles, and that our candidates are inspired and they have stepped up because they care about Iowa. And they know that the present leadership has not been listening to folks on the ground, and as a result have passed really unpopular legislation. We know, and our candidates know, that public education is important to Iowans. It's not only important to them because they want their children to have the best education possible and the opportunities to be educated in the best ways possible, but that they know that these decisions are negatively affecting public education, that taxpayer money that is now being diverted to strengthen private schools rather than public schools is not a good decision. It's not a popular decision, and it's not a decision that is going to help strengthen us as a state, both educationally and economically. Because as we know, for many, many years, people come to Iowa because they know their kids can be educated here in a way they can't in other parts of the country. And as we have gone from being first and then third to now dwindling all the way down to the middle of the pack, that is not good for us as a draw to get people to stay here and to get people to come here to Iowa. So this is an unpopular decision. And also the abortion ban is not strengthening us as a state when it comes to women's health. And that is simply unacceptable for most people. There are many other issues. I know you got to go, but I can go on for a while. But the bottom line is this overreach by the Republican Party has created a feeling by many that we need better leadership. And people know that when one party has been in control too long, they overreach, they go too far. And Iowa has always prided itself on being more of a purple state, because when you have two good parties, two parties that are working hard for the interest of people, but you disagree, then to have to work with the other side results in good policy. That's what we're missing in Iowa right now, is that kind of balance, that kind of opportunity to work with people on the other side to come up with better policy that truly represents what the people believe is the best way forward for the state of Iowa.
So that's actually my last question right there, is getting to that purple state. I mean, how realistic do you think it's going to be in November? What would be genuine, like realistically, do you think you could get a Democrat into national office in Iowa in November?
I have great faith that we have a real opportunity in a couple of our congressional districts. Yes, I think that it's obvious that other people believe that too, besides me. The investment in the congressional districts in District 1 and District 3 is very real, right? We've got that investment from the DCCC, from the federal end of things, but more important, we've got more volunteers that are more excited about our candidates in Christina Bohannon in the 1st District and Lenon Bacam in the 3rd District. We have every chance in the world to pick up one or both of those seats. So we're very much concentrating on that. And the excitement at the very top of the ticket with the presidential ticket is going to trickle down to those congressional seats and down to our state house and our state Senate seats. And so we're very confident. I'm not looking that we're going to have a complete flip of everything, but I know that we have the opportunity to pick up more of these seats and get better representation, have an opportunity to have more Democratic voices at the table, which is going to result in better policy. If we can get just a few more Democrats elected here in 24, and then we're going to work hard for 26.
Of course, Christina Bohannon, for those watching, is the Democratic opponent to Marionette Miller Meeks here in our area. Rita, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate your time and safe travels back.
Hey, thank you so much. It's been really exciting out here, and so I'm happy to talk about it.